If we are one, how are you relating to reality and the things going on around you from your personal perspective? What is your metric for observation and assessment? What is your operating system? More to the point, what is your program, your mirror of collective awakening? In our last episode, we talked about the power of the observer and how to practice embodiment in order to gain full awareness and mastery in our present life journey. That when we speak about being the observer, we're not just speaking of it as a spiritual metaphor, but how it ties in very well with neuroscience and quantum physics when it comes to describing experience itself. But if we are one, what do we really mean when we ask, what is your programming? Especially from a spiritual lens. Are we essentially pointing to the invisible architecture that interprets reality before you even consciously engage with it? Things like core beliefs, what you assume is true about life, yourself, and others. Identity constructs, who you think you are. And emotional patterning, how you habitually respond. Because it's not just observing our thoughts, it's understanding the core framework through which thoughts arise. And when we are able to do that and live from our newfound awakening and conviction, then we move into the inevitability of our new tomorrow. Hi, I'm Daryl T. Johnson, a musician, a teacher, and a QHHT hypnosis practitioner. I'd like to welcome all of you to episode 31 of If We Are One. Hello, and welcome back to this important episode. Why is it important? Well, today we are going to do a personal audit. Well, we cut through the mimic code and step into the true power of the observer. Today, I have a question that will either wake you up or make you uncomfortable. And if it does the latter, then good. That means it's working. So, the question is, what is your programming? Or to put it another way, what is your operating system? Not the story you tell yourself about being spiritual or evolved. Not the feel-good affirmations, but your actual programming, the beliefs, the biases, the automatic reactions running through your life and by extension, our world right now. Remember, we are all creating a reality by virtue of our thoughts and beliefs, not just individually, but collectively. We've talked about the power of the observer. We've talked about moving from 3D to 5D, even the mimic overlay. But today I want to get practical because seeing isn't enough. Feeling isn't enough. It's time to audit the code inside of you and rewrite it. Your mind is an operating system, but most of you never touch the settings. You just run the apps, thoughts, reactions, judgment, blaming the world when they crash. Your programming is the invisible architecture deciding reality before you even think about it. And when you do, it's not just thoughts, it's the framework through which thoughts arise. This ties into our earlier discussion of the mimic code. A lot of what people call their personality or their truth is actually conditioned responses from upbringing, cultural aspects and scripts, trauma adaptations, and collective narratives. In other words, borrowed code. The mimic code is essentially programming that feels like you, but wasn't consciously chosen by you. So the real question becomes, is this my code, or is this code I'm running? That alone is a powerful moment of awakening. So, core beliefs like, I'm not enough, they don't deserve it, life owes me. Emotional defaults like fear responses, urgency, victimhood, superiority. Perceptual filters like what you notice, what you ignore, who you trust. Where does it all come from? Family scripts, cultural downloads, trauma adaptations, media indoctrination. Most of it, just borrowed code you never chose. This is the mimic overlay we talked about. It feels like you, but is it? So this is where the observer steps in. Without it, you are the program. With it, you debug the program. So pause, examine, question. Does this serve my expansion or my contraction? I actually want you to take a moment. Stop the recording if you have to, and get a pen and paper right now. Yes, you. While listening to this audit. No spiritual bypassing. No, I'm above all that. Okay. I'm assuming you're ready. So here we go. Let's start with self-belief. What do you assume about your worth, your capacity? Write down the ugliest ones. What about reality beliefs? Life is struggle. Certain people are dangerous. Power corrupts. Where'd that come from? Now, emotional patterns. What state do you default to under stress, under rage, during withdrawal, self-pity? How about a bias check? What groups do I unconsciously tense up around? Who do I assume is competent, safe, spiritual, intelligent, or trustworthy? What stereotypes did I inherit from family, culture, religion, or media? Where do I become defensive when this topic is raised? What behavior do I excuse in my in-group that I criticize in others? Now the litmus test. Do these beliefs, whatever they are, expand you, connect you, or does it separate, contract, or control you? If you're squirming right now, perfect. That means the light just hit something. Now look bigger. Programming isn't just personal, it's collective. And right now, the light is exposing what has been hiding in the shadows. I'll give you an example. The Supreme Court's recent gutting of the Voting Rights Act. That's not just politics, it's a revelation. When safeguards weaken, the hidden code shows itself. Biases once whispered now act boldly. Diluted voices, unequal access. Systems claiming neutrality while outcomes scream otherwise. This is your mirror. These junction points force the question, what programming lets this slide? What inherited prejudice whispers, Not my problem. What silent comfort with inequality have you tolerated? So let's unpack bias a little more here, because it is becoming a flashpoint in our lived experience now more than ever. Yes, deep-rooted bias absolutely belongs in the conversation, because bias is part of the hidden programming that can run beneath conscious beliefs and shape perception, reaction, and behavior. It often operates automatically, which is why people can sincerely value equality while still carrying stereotypes or prejudicial assumptions they haven't yet examined. From a spiritual framework, bias is a form of unconscious code that narrows awareness and distorts the way we interpret other people and situations. In psychological terms, implicit bias refers to evaluation that can be triggered automatically and may operate outside full awareness or control. That makes it especially relevant to our system setting metaphor. The person may not see the setting, but the setting is still affecting the output. Now, how does it show up? Bias can reveal itself in the quick assumptions we make, who we feel comfortable around, whose mistakes we excuse, who we trust, and whose behavior we interpret as threatening, arrogant, or less than. It can be racial, cultural, gender-based, or rooted in class, religion, body type, age, and so much more. A person may not intend harm, but intention and impact are not the same thing. So how do we recognize it? The first sign is often a pattern. Repeated snap judgments, emotional discomfort, or a different standard applied to different groups. Helpful self-assessment tools include reflection and mindfulness. Another important clue is defensiveness. When a person feels an immediate urge to deny or protect themselves rather than stay curious, that can be a sign the program has been touched. So how do we come to terms with it? The key is not self-condemnation. It is honest observation. Research and practice-oriented guidance emphasize awareness, curiosity, taking perspective, and valuing actions that align with one's principles rather than suppressing the thoughts and pretending they are absent. In other words, you do not heal bias by shaming yourself into silence. You heal it by seeing it clearly and choosing differently. By seeing things clearly, the observer is the debugger of consciousness. It lets you pause the script and examine the code. So while we're in this personal programming audit, let's go a little deeper. What do you believe about yourself? Such as, I'm not enough. I have to struggle. I must prove my worth. What do you believe about reality? Things like, life is hard. People can't be trusted. Opportunities are scarce. Now from that, what emotional states feel familiar or serve as your default? Stress, doubt, urgency, whatever. Where did these beliefs come from? family, school, trauma, society, religion, media. And again ask, do these beliefs expand me or contract me? This last question is key. It shifts from analysis to discernment. Okay, good. You can put your pencils and papers down now. But I really want you to look deep and ask those hard questions. If you want to replay this portion of the episode later, it might be worth it. So, back to 3D versus 5D programming. 3D programming tends to be fear-based, survival-oriented, rooted in separation and scarcity, reactive and externally validated. 5D awareness begins to operate from unity and interconnectedness, inner authority, trust and allowance, conscious creation rather than reaction. So the upgrade isn't about deleting everything. It's about transcending unconscious patterns and choosing aligned ones. But how do you change the programming? Well, you don't change programming just by deciding once. You change it through repetition, plus awareness, plus emotional reinforcement. Your core mechanisms are awareness, noticing the program in real time, interruption, pausing before automatic reaction, reframing, choosing a new belief or interpretation, embodiment, acting from the new belief consistently, and last, reinforcement, feeling the emotional truth of the new pattern. Now here's a simple example. Old programming, I'm not good enough. New programming, I am capable and growing. But the real shift happens when you catch the old thought. You choose differently. You act differently. You feel the new truth in your body. That's when code starts to rewrite. So you might ask yourself, what beliefs am I running that I never consciously chose? Who would I be without those beliefs? And what would I choose to believe if I were fully aware? That sequence naturally leads people from unconsciousness to awareness to authorship. Think of it like this. Your mind is like an operating system running in the background. Most people never question the operating system. They just open apps, which in this case are thoughts, reactions, and behaviors. But what you're inviting them to do is open the system settings. Look at what's installed. Uninstall what no longer serves you. And consciously upgrade the system. That's a very accessible bridge between spiritual metaphor and practical language. So, 3D consciousness reacts, divides, and defends. 4D witnesses transition without denial. And 5D? It acts from sovereign clarity. The light isn't creating darkness, it's revealing it. And revelation demands choice. What do you accept? What do you refuse? Seeing your programming is step one, but awakening without embodiment is basically just spiritual narcissism. So, the question ultimately becomes, when will no more become your line? This is not theoretical. This is not about sending love. When injustice stands in your community, your personal feed, your family, will you stay silent to keep the peace? Or will you speak from the awakened center that knows dignity is non-negotiable? This isn't rage. This is integrity. The energy of refusal that old systems cannot withstand. The silent majority must end here. Higher consciousness isn't passive witnessing. It's responsible creation. Your voice, your vote, your presence becomes the frequency shift. No more isn't a scream. It's a sovereign declaration. I see the code. I choose differently. And I stand for it. So how do you rewrite it? You catch it live. Notice the automatic thought, reaction. You pause, name it. That's old programming. No shame, just fact. Then choose again. What belief serves truth? What actions align? Then embody. Act from it. Speak from it. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Repeat. Because code rewrites through repetition plus emotional charge. So start tonight. Start now. One belief, one conversation, one stand. The collective shift happens when enough individuals cross this threshold. Spiritually, this is a part of purification of perception. As awareness deepens, the goal is not to become perfect, but to become honest enough to notice where separation has been programmed into us and brave enough to revise it. The observer becomes the witness to prejudice, and then the chooser of a more aligned response. In that way, friends, the light has done its job. The shadows are plain. Your programming now becoming exposed. You cannot transform what you will not first reveal. So what is your programming? And what will you do about it? This kind of self-assessment takes work and bravery to even face it head on. I sense this forced reassessment going on now all around the world during this tumultuous time that we're dealing with. This is how we move from 3D reaction to 5D authorship. Not tomorrow, now. So stand tall, speak true, for the time is now. We'll be talking more about these and other topics in future installments. And if there is anything you would like me to discuss or any questions you might have about anything that I've shared, please feel free to mention it by leaving a question or comment in the comments section. As always, if you have found any of this information at all helpful or enlightening, please like, subscribe, and share with others. I truly appreciate those of you who are letting others know about this podcast, and I continue to be excited at the growing number of souls awakening worldwide to this ongoing awakening and remembrance to a oneness consciousness. So to you, as always, I send you my love. And if we are one, let's all live in peace, love, and joy.